Hey everyone, it occurred to me recently that some people might want to see how I make my videos, so I'm doing this unedited, sort of just like a sort of to run you through how I would make a typical video. Now, first I record the audio, and in my more recent ones it's video as well, um, and that's just using like the camera, like the built-in Windows camera, with a webcam, which I obviously can't show you because it's what's filming, and the Yeti microphone, which you've seen several times. And you can sort of see, like, in those recent videos, you can sort of see the space that I'm recording in. How I have the microphone set up such that I can stand in front of it. I usually stand about this. You get your hand to do this about that far, like my mouth that far from the microphone. This is what they call in the business a Welker distance, which is like named after the voice actor Frank Welker who came up with it. And the distance will vary based on sort of like if I'm doing a little whisper or if I'm shouting. It varies. Like it'll vary a bit, but this is like the standard. And I've got that sort of acoustic foam set up behind the microphone, like on the wall, so the sound waves don't bounce off the wall and back into the microphone from the back. And draw any curtains, windows closed, try and keep as much sound from the outside world out as possible. Yeah. So once I've recorded the audio, it'll be in like a long sort of like video file, because I basically start recording and have a web page up that has, like, if I can, the lines that I'm doing an impression of, so I can play it, hear it, and then immediately to have a few takes of it to see how it sounds. And you can actually hear that in one of the bloopers in the Protoss video, the most recent one. You can hear like one of the voice lines being played from the computer before I say the line in one of the little bloopers, because I usually edit those out. And so what I end up with is a long video, and what I'm going to do... Oh, no, first thing I do is open Audacity, and I do this to sort of just clean up the audio. So if I were to open, let's just go to one of my projects. Let's just go to the undead one. So if I were to grab this one, the Abomination. Oh, yeah, sorry, there's a, I don't have that on this computer, that's on my laptop. Alright, let's just open an MP3 one just so I can show you what I'm talking about at least. No. Here we go. Yep, let's just open the processed one. Okay, so what I do is I select this whole thing, and I've set it up as a macro. So in Audacity you can set up macros. This is the macro that I have it's just like a general cleanup of audio, and it's really 3 steps. It's a high pass filter to remove like the weird bassy sounds that you might get, sort of just so you're not blowing out people's ears. Filter curve, so can I? Yes, I can. Sort of take out some more of those noise type sounds. Like this is sort of beyond the register of normal human speech, so yeah, sort of just take out these extra sounds here. And this is sort of like a budget de-esser or whatever, like that sounds. And the compressor is to kind of just mostly to normalize the volume, because there might be bits that are quiet and bits that are loud. Yeah. So I have those are the settings I have. I haven't opened up the high pass filter yet. So I experimented a bit to find what I liked here. And also looked up a bunch of videos, like YouTube videos, people walking through how to do audio cleanup in Audacity. I've seen too many of them to actually remember them all, let alone link them all in the description. But if you just go looking up, say, how to clean up audio in Audacity, you'll find some pretty useful tips and tricks. And this is just where I landed, and that's like my general sort of thing. And after I do that, say I've applied that macro, I find a space of empty, like a space of where I'm not actually doing any recording, and I go noise reduction, get noise profile, and I select the whole thing, and I basically just press Control R, or you can go into effect and click noise reduction and click OK. And again, these are you don't want this to be too high, because if this is too high, it's going to reduce your actual audio a bit as well. And the rest of these you can kind of just leave at that setting, and then you apply that. I don't know if there are any examples of it in here, but there's a thing called a plosive. It's kind of like it's like a really gross sort of like sound that comes from like P's and B's if you don't articulate them properly. I can't really see any here, but basically what they would look like is oh, actually I can probably just record one. Yeah, alright. Okay. Pleased to meet you. Okay, yeah. You can kind of see it here. It takes on this sort of like, for those of you who know biology, like an action potential looking shape. Like it's comes up and down, then up again. It creates this sort of. Now, ideally, you want to record such that these aren't introduced. But if you do end up with a few, it's not the end of the world, because what you can do is if it's at the start of a phrase, you can use fade in, or you can just use a simple de-amplifier to reduce it, and you can fiddle around with that. Like I usually do 2 decibel increments for the de-amplifiers, and that's just to like try and eliminate these plosives from your recording. You can't just re-record and hope it doesn't happen again, but if you have a line where it keeps happening or you just don't have time, this is one way to like edit them out, or at least try to. It's not perfect, but it works. Anyway, I've kind of gone off on a tangent about plosives. Right, yeah, so if I go back to the abomination one, I think it's still up. No. Yeah, okay. So what I've done here is I've done all like the cleanup. So like that macro I made and the noise reduction. So then I would try and figure out some effects, and that would take me listening to the original creature a few times to sort of get an ear for what kind of effects are on its voice. Like echoes are usually pretty easy to pick out, and reverbs can be too. There, as you'll notice with some of the creatures in my more recent videos, there are some creatures that have a lot of effects, and I'm essentially reverse engineering whatever effects they have. Like I don't know how they made the Overmind specifically, like that voice. I don't know specifically how they made the Dragoon, but I'm just listening to it and sort of like reverse engineering it, and you get an ear for these things after a while. It just takes a bit of experimentation, because one of the best ways that I had of figuring out how to pick up sounds effects by listening is to just record something and apply a bunch of effects to it and see how it changed the recording, because then once you've applied reverb a bunch, you'll get an ear for it. You'll be like, that's what reverb sounds like. some things still throw me for a loop, some things are still curveballs. Like the probe, that took me forever to figure out how to do. In the most recent Protoss video, I could not. And the thought process behind eliminating the shuttle was basically, it's basically just beeps. It's a lot of entirely artificial sounds. There's no point to this. But anyway, notice how there are these fairly large chunks of nothing happening, and I'm leaving them there, and that will make sense later. But for now, what I do is I just export that as an MP3. And I've called this one with effects because in my editing process, this is the first one that uses whatever effect it has. But if I go over to where it was, in file location, yep. If I go over to where it was, you'll probably see some of these have, well, this is a very simple effect. Some of these have like, where's an example of one? I'm trying to find. Oh, this is before I was doing that. Yeah. See, what I do now is if the ghoul and the abomination use the same effect, I would do what I do in my videos in these file names. I'd say like in brackets, abomination effect. I haven't started doing that yet with these ones. So, yeah. And as you can kind of see here, sort of part of my process, once I've done that, I'll go online and see if I can find like icons for each of those units in the game. These are straight off the Wowpedia wiki, I believe. Or whichever wiki had like all of the units. And these other videos are me using ActivePresenter to sort of basically to film myself applying the Audacity effect, which I would go back and do after actually applying and exporting. I'd just go back and film myself doing it again. Can't really demonstrate that because I'm using ActivePresenter to record this. So yeah. So then, once I have the icons and the recordings and they've been edited and had any effects applied to them, I would open up HitFilm Express. That's my program of choice. I've tried a few different programs, but I personally just like this one. It's not perfect, but it works. It's good. Apologies if this takes a while to load. So if I go to one of the more recent ones, say, oh, let me move that over. Now while that's loading, if I go on to one of the more recent ones, like the Protoss video, you'll see, yeah, here, see, the Corsair, that's actually wrong. Oh, no, that's the Corsair. No, yep. See, the Corsair uses the Zealot effect, and it says so in its MP3. Alright, right, I'm just gonna open a new one, so I can walk you guys through some, yeah, no. I don't really understand that, the proxy thing, but I'm just telling it not to create it just cause. I don't know. Maybe I should be. I don't know. Okay. So, quick rundown on HitFilm. Down the left here, you have media, effects. Controls will make a bit more sense later. For now, let's just throw in. Let's do the Arbiter. So what I'd do is I'd throw in the video, like the video recording of me in my booth, the audio that's been edited on Audacity, and the icon for that unit. I do this for all the units, but I'm just going to do it for the Arbiter, just to demonstrate. Chuck the Arbiter onto the timeline. Yes. And here it pops up in the viewer. Now notice it has its own audio, because that is just, you know, that's just my base recording, which includes the audio, because that's the audio that gets edited into that other MP3 I put in the media. So what I'd do is I'd unlink those, delete the audio because I'm not using that audio, and put in the refreshed audio, the cleaned up and affected audio, and link those. Gotta make sure to link those because what I do.
Warp field stabilized.
Is to quickly check to see if they've actually lined up properly.
Warp field stabilized.
And you can sort of like look at the lips and sort of figure out, oh yeah, are these words actually lining up properly? And they are. That's good. Sometimes it can be a bit weird. What I do is I'd zoom in a bit, use this thing down here to zoom in. And I'd kind of go line by line, getting rid of this dead space. So, sort of play through. I can sort of find where the line starts. This little peak here. That was the thing I was talking about before with the computer. I have it on a website, sort of playing the line from the game. I can sort of figure out where I actually start speaking here, and get this tool here, the slice, cut that, and just delete that dead space.
Warp field stabilized.
And figure out where the line ends, and also try to cut out these annoying head turns. Because I look at this, because the screen of my laptop, where the webcam is attached to, where I actually record my voice lines, I have the lyrics, the words, the actual lines on the screen. That's why I keep turning my head. Just to make sure I don't flub any lines. I do end up flubbing lines anyway, but they get cut. So yeah, cut at the end of the line too, and try and cut out as much of that head turn as I can. And figure out where this line starts. And yeah, just keep doing that until I've cut down this entire cut down this entire section so it just plays line to line, sort of.
Warp field stabilized. We feel your presence.
Yeah, it sort of look like that. The added benefit of recording like this is so you're not doing one huge take, so you can actually sort of breathe and reset between lines, because yeah, breathing's important. Voice acting. It's, also, you can't see it there, but in that room, I have a cup of water. So like between characters, I can just have a drink of water, because that's important too. Your voice ends up sounding really strange if you haven't had a drink. It paradoxically has sort of like this gross sort of like watery sound if you haven't had a drink in a while. So yeah, stay hydrated. So I'm not going to do the rest of that editing because there's no need. Hopefully you understand that. Let's pull this down a bit. Chuck the icon on. So I have some preset positioning stuff. Now this is just how it appears in the video, because like this is the default. As soon as you put the icon on the track, it'll put it smack dab in the middle of the screen. Don't touch the anchor point, right? So position. I actually have a Google Doc for this, but I'm just gonna move it by hand. But what you can do is go into the control here and type in values that you want. And I have it that big. That's how big I like to have the icons. It did take a bit of experimenting for me to figure out where exactly I wanted the icons, but when I figured it out, I just had these as specific numbers for the sake of consistency. And then I stretch this over so it's the same duration as the video. So it's there for the whole video. And now I go into text. Text over here, yep. And I create some text. And this is where I say what effect it's using. So for something that's has an associated video at the end, like zealot, because it uses the zealot effect, I'll put in a little caret. No, not the caret. That's referring to other videos. Asterisk. For something that I can explain in like 2 or 3 words, I just do it there. Because I can't really explain reverbs or flanges here because you have to explain all the settings and that would take up too much space. So that's why I do this thing with the asterisk in the first place. Yep, so once that's there, same as the icon, I have like predefined settings for the like positioning. So it's in the same spot on every unit. And just stretch that out over there. And for the rest of the video, when you're editing it, it's more or less the same. Just do that for every unit. Then for like those title pages, it is literally just put some text here. Yeah, put that there. I have this at like 3 seconds, and you can actually go in here, speed duration, and just like pick a duration. So that will exist for 3 seconds. And just smack it at the end of the video there. One of the really handy things is you see these red lines. It's telling you when things are lining up and what they're lining up with. So like this, it's lining up with the end of the effects text and the end of the audio, which don't line up with the video because for some reason Audacity sort of slightly increases or slightly decreases the length of a track if you've applied a pitch effect to it. It's ever so slight, and you can actually just, I'm just actually going to do that. You can actually just cut that off. Oh, I think I have to unlink it first. Yep. Yeah, you can just make it actually line up. Yeah, it's just dead space at the end of that audio recording anyway, so it's fine. It doesn't affect the sync, as in the syncing of the sounds to the lips, which is kind of nice. Yeah, as you can see now, these are all red arrows. Each of those little triangles tells you what it lines up with. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see my finger. Yeah, with the text, I do the same thing as before. I like to have it in the middle. I also forget how big I make the text. Like I have a Google Doc for this, but you can scale it sort of incrementally. Just click on it and move your mouse left and right to get a size that you like. Same with the positioning, you can sort of just move it around. And that's what I do for the effects and bloopers. And when I use the music for the, I'm gonna chuck I'll chuck this one on too. Yep. I don't usually edit these ones because it's already a video of me just applying the effects. Now interesting, what I do with these is I change the scale. I actually remember the number for this one because this is zoomed in too far, so I check the scale. And what I usually do is I mask out this bottom bit here. Yeah, just because, it's cutting out my toolbar and the time of day and whatever. It's not really. Well, no, now that you guys have seen this video, I don't really need to do that because you guys already know what's on my taskbar now. Yeah. And then it has audio because ActivePresenter, even if you tell it not to record audio, there'll be audio associated with this MP4. So you just unlink that, take that out, and then I'd put the music in, like the music I normally have for this section of the video. And when I'm going through here, I'll find bits that I think are funny, and I'll remember, oh yeah, this unit has some blooper-worthy lines. And then I'll just grab the MP4, put it at the end of the video, and then cut those out and keep those and delete the rest. And once you're done with that, Oh, the effects text on the... Okay, this requires a little bit of explaining. Oh yeah, right, you can Control-C and Control-V, but it will paste on the same line as the thing you copied. So you can't copy from one track and paste onto another track, although there's a pretty easy workaround. You just drag this new one onto the new track, and you just copy it from there, and it'll paste wherever this is. The track seeker, whatever. I don't know what it's called. Also, things like zooms are centered on this thing. So knowing that has actually helped me a little bit navigate myself around this program. So same thing as before on the units, and I copied it after I edited it so it's the right scale, and you can just move it around. Again, I have like a preset position, like XY coordinates for this, but for the sake of this video I'm just gonna eyeball it. And I get this text. I just copied the text from before. Now here, as you've seen in my videos, I'll have every unit that uses this effect, not just one. And it won't be this minus pitch thing, as you've seen. Also, it's been a little grossly inconsistent in this video, just because... Oh no, this bit has been a little inconsistent in some of my videos, because sometimes I have the asterisks on the effects page, sometimes I don't. I'm leaning towards not having it. Now, notice, because there's a multi-track at that part of the video, it becomes harder to read because it's white text. But the white text is really good against this Audacity background, like this dark grey. So the way I get around that is I use glow. Now, I forget where glow is actually, but you can search. You can go glow. Yep. You can apply a glow to the text, and I leave the glow at its defaults, but I increase the intensity. So now you should to 2.5. Yeah, I scrolled a little too far. So now you can still see it on that dark grey background, but now you can also see it on that like much lighter background because of the glow. Creates some contrast. Now that's pretty much it. Once all that's done, just export to file. I'm not actually going to do this. And I basically just export it as an MP4. Again, not actually going to do this, it's just to demonstrate. And then once it's exported, I can just upload that to YouTube. And I think for the sake of this, I might just give you a look at... Here's one I prepared earlier. Just give it a sec. Come on. Yeah, hit film can get a bit demanding once it's got a lot of individual tracks. Yeah, see, it's having a hard time with I don't know if that's just my computer or if that is hit film, but I notice it gets more demanding the more like individual tracks I have, and each of these split tracks counts as a separate track. So as you can see here, once it's actually friggin' loaded in, alright, you can see here, oh yeah, this is actually really neat. From the StarCraft wiki, I was actually able to find GIFs. I was actually able to get the GIFs from the unit portraits on their wiki pages and sort of include them as MP4s. That required an online converter. I think I can tell you the name of that one. Maybe. I'm sure I got it bookmarked, surely. Where would I have put that? Oh, it. Oh, it's called like video. It's convert to MP4. The site is called like online-convert.com or something. Probably include a link to that in the description, honestly. Yeah, I'll probably do that. So as you can see, this is the sort of thing I'm talking about, where unfortunately these MP4s, I couldn't actually extend them, so I just had to copy them a bunch. Yeah, you can see like these separate text fields, the cut up audio, and the cut up video as well. Yeah, it gets a bit, all these individual things. But yeah, anyway, support that to YouTube, and that's how I make these videos that you see. That's basically the entire process. A lot of the time in hit film is actually just going through these videos, recordings, and like cutting out all the dead space. And sometimes indulging a little bit in listening to the final product. So anyway, there you have it. I hope this has sated somebody's curiosity, and it wasn't just a vain thought of mine that anyone actually cared how these videos were made. Next video I have planned is Terran. Yeah, this style of video, but for Terran. Gotta figure out how to do the ghost. Anyway, ciao.